Hello, welcome to Silver Anchor. This is Sylvie Anchor. Got another study for us today. We're going to study the Celtic Cross. I've already got the spread done. This is a very common tarot card spread. I went ahead and did a lot of laying out, kind of just to save some time, because the big attraction is going to be right here. We're going to draw a Celtic knot. I was thinking, well, it's Celtic, and they're really fun to draw. This is not exactly the one I'm going to do, but this is what I did Inktober last year. This is a triquinta Celtic knot. You can see there's like a continuous design. I actually did a little bonus one inside and a circle. It was a lot of fun to do, and we're going to do a similar one, but this one is going to have 4 points to represent, the 4 points on our Celtic cross. So there's a way to think of the reading. There's a cross and a staff, and you lay the cards in this order. We're going to put the meanings of each position soon, and I've also got a bonus 11th card we'll talk about later. But the main attraction, I wanted to leave this blank without any preparation, so that if you wanted to draw a Celtic knot, you're going to see the step-by-step of the geometry. And I'm using my classic geometry tools. I got a classic compass. I just came across this the other day and I thought, let's use it. And I've also got a straight edge. So the classic geometry statement is that give me a compass and a straight edge and I can draw anything. So we're going to be drawing Celtic cross using these two tools. First thing I want to do is find the center of this square. I've measured out a 4.5-inch square, and what I found is it's a lot easier to draw this thing if you don't have any dimensions in mind. Just freestyle it. But I have the constrictions of where I want it on this page. So I'm lining up the two corners here. I'm going to draw a line between the corners, and this will give me an X to mark the middle, which will give me the center of my square. I'm also using these diagonal lines as another guideline for me. So guidelines are something I use a lot, and you can see I've done it for the text here. If you look really closely, I've got a guideline in the middle of my cross, and it just helps me line up things. There's going to be a lot of erasing going on, but that's half of drawing, is what I have found, is it's half erasing everything. So I practiced this quite a few times, and I had to figure out the circumference of this first circle. So for this 4.5-inch square, I'm going to do a 1 1/4 inch radius circle. So in this case, I am going to measure it out, and that's the radius is going to be the distance between the point and the pencil. Make sure you're getting that. So that'll be probably the only thing I'm measuring, is just this first guideline circle. It's not even going to be part of the drawing. So I'm tempted to just cross it where I need it, but I want you to see exactly what I'm doing, because really I could just put a little line on each of these. Because that's the important part. I'm going to end up erasing this later. So I might even just darken it up as these crosshairs where the circle met the diagonal line. These are going to be the important points where I'm going to center my compass for the next step. So I don't even need the rest of the circle. I'm going to end up erasing it in a little bit. So if you want to just lightly touch your compass at those 4 points, that's really all you need. It's a guideline. So the cross is actually going to go to these points here. I could put one on each side there. I might go ahead and do that. The middle of 4.5 inches is 2 1/4. So that'll just give me, and I think I've already got one on that side. This is where the title will go. I thought about doing the title across this way, but that makes the square smaller. I was like, I want to use as much space as possible, so I'm going to write vertically Celtic Cross right there, just to make this as big as possible, because it's really fun to draw. It's the main attraction of this art page. One tip for using a compass is rotate the page to make it easier for you. You can even turn the page instead of turning the compass. I'm going to do the best I can. So you're going to position the compass at these points, and it's a good thing I already have this mark here. I'm lining up between the crosshairs and the point I have on the where I want the knot to extend the furthest. And we're going to draw an arc from this point. It's not going to be a complete circle. And it should match to the mark I have on the other side. So we're actually going to draw 4 arcs going around this circle. And the next one, take your time getting centered. That's usually where mistakes come from when you're doing a geometric construction, is not centering your compass exactly where it should be. And there's the basic Celtic knot. You can see if you follow it with your finger, it is one continuous line. It's kind of hard to see now, and we're actually going to make it a little more dimensional. We're going to go from the same point again on all 4, but we're going to shorten it just a little, and this will give us the thickness of our line. And I'm just eyeballing it. I think I'm going for about 1/4 inch on here. Oops. We're going to visit all 4 points again with this shorter measurement. What I like about this compass is it's very stiff. One thing I've learned is you've got the screw here, you can tighten it. Because if you have a loose compass while you're going, I don't want to loosen mine, it'll start to spread out, and then you don't have a constant radius, so you're not getting a nice circle. So you want to make sure it's kind of tight, which is why I like the safety compass. I didn't use it today. Uh-oh, I think I just moved it with my thumb. And I'll show you another way. I just don't have a lot of space, is to move the paper. I don't have to get the line super dark. I am going to ink over it. I'm going to freehand the ink, but you'll see why in a little bit. It's the last one here. Because all these, again, are just more guidelines. I feel like I've changed the radius from this side. It has. I'm not going to erase the old line, I'm just going to go over it here. And I might adjust what looks like has changed. Oh, that's terrible. I want to extend these even further than they ought to be, just to make sure. Where it happened. Look right there. Yep. And then I've got one more on this side. You're going to make mistakes doing this. The tricky part is catching where you messed up. So I might even just clean that up a little bit so I'm not confused on which one. And I'm not afraid about crossing the other lines. Again, these are guidelines. That's okay. I was trying not to press too hard since all of this is going to get erased anyway. That's the tricky part, is I push really hard with the pencil. Using mechanical usually helps me. I did all this with mechanical pencil, because if you press too hard on mechanical pencil, it breaks. So it kind of makes you tread lightly, so to speak. And I'll just darken up a little bit the ones I want to keep. So some of these got erased. We're going to erase some of these lines because it's going to weave under, over, which we'll do in a minute. I'm going to also add a circle here, just like we did on the triquinta. It really brings the whole thing together. It actually gives the whole thing kind of a square or diamond appearance. So it's going to be wider than our guideline circle. Actually, not too much. I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I want the circle to go. And I'm going to try and do the same width as our other one. I'm trying to decide on a line that is going to fit through all the loops and look right. I think I like right here. So I'm just going to draw one circle. And then narrow it down. I might even just use this to get that width. You see the little dot I made is the same. You can carry a distance with you. That's why a compass is really handy. So you don't have to use a ruler. The only time I used a ruler was to make sure, because I experimented with a few different radii. I did 1.5, I did 2, and I was like, oh, that's even worse. Let me go the other direction. And then I did 1 1/4. So I actually ended up drawing, I think, about 5 different knots last night in just preparation. So usually the night before I do it like some sketches, some drafts on what I want to draw. And we're not going to be using the compass with the pen. I think we did that last time on the 12 houses. So there it is in rough draft, right? So now is the time where we're going to take the time to clean it up. So we want, I'll show you the triquinta again, and you can see that it's going over, under, over, under, over, under. It's like it's woven between the different strains. And we're going to be able to do the same thing here. I mean, the design was originally woven, right? They might use leather, like leather straps, or like basket material, you know, organic. So, like I said, half of drawing is just erasing things. I should probably use this one. And now is the time to decide, okay, which side is over. I'm leaning to the right side. So on each of them, on the right, I'm going to erase this way, and on the left, showing that it's going under in that direction. I'll go back and strengthen these lines. And again, this is still just the sketch. We're going to go over the whole thing in ink and add shading, and it'll really look good. So I'm thinking just making this will be the whole video. I am going to add some words here, of course, the script, and I'm thinking about adding some watercolor on this half. I don't think I want to color the cross. I think I'm just going to leave it black and white. So again, we're going over on the right and under on the left. Go ahead and erase some of these guidelines. This one's very small, but I might have pressed too hard on that one. The trick to drawing freehand art is to actually move your hand kind of like it's a compass. Kind of get a good pivot point under your wrist. I mean, all these other guidelines are going to get erased anyway, so I'm not too worried. And once I'm done getting my sketch done, we're going to go over it, all of it with a good eraser to get all the pencil marks gone. But I'm just trying to give myself a clear picture. To trace over with the ink. So that's the idea here. Again, we're going to go over on the right. So I hope you're following along. That would be really fun. And what's cool about a video is you can pause it, rewind it, go back and look. Wait, what did she do there? You know, that'd be really fun. If you want to tag me on Instagram with the one that you drew, that'd be so cool. I'm sylvie.anchor on Instagram. And I usually post my completed drawings and just other things I'm thinking about along the lines of the theme for this channel. It's my channel account. I plan on doing Inktober there. And this is going to be an ink drawing. I really like it. This is, of course, this is Inktober last year. If you haven't seen, I don't know, I kind of want to flip through. I did some other ink drawings with, mostly with witches on them. I did a witchy theme. And man, I'm really enjoying looking over these again. I didn't love all of them. This was one of my favorites. It was husky, so I drew a husky witch, kind of like from, what was that movie where they had the big witch riding the vacuum cleaner? So I did kind of a witch theme last year. I'm probably going to stick to that, but I might go outside the box if I just don't feel like it that day. That's kind of the trick, is making sure you just draw something every day, because sometimes you don't really feel like drawing every day. You know, I mean, even just doing this series, sometimes it's hard for me to get in the mood. It really helps if I plan something on Friday or even the whole week, just start thinking about, okay, what am I going to draw on Saturday? So I've got the circle weaving in and out, and now the real fun part, the knot in the middle. So remember, we're going over, under, over, under. So if this part's going over, it's going to go under that one. So we're going to erase right there, and look how it works out, under, over. So I'm going to just do from each, kind of that first crossing. So if it's over, I'm going to go under. That one's kind of already done a little bit. And then we did that one already. It's just easier if you go one little bit at a time instead of trying to see the whole thing at once. So over, we're going to go under. And you can just keep checking your work, saying over, under, just like you would weave a basket. So under, over, under. Okay, I think we're back to where we started. So on to the next row of knots. If we went under, we need to go over here. It's a little bit of thinking three-dimensionally, right? So you've got under, over, under. And they should line up with each other, the unders and overs. So if this one was under, over, under, I'm just kind of reinforcing those lines, because when I erase, it takes them away. So we got under, over, under, over. And this one under, so it should be over. And when we add shading, it's really going to pronounce the unders and overs. We'll add a little bit of shading to the under line, and then you'll really get a feel. So that means under, over, under, over, under, over. And you can just see the whole thing, under, over, 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 under, over. I think I've gone over the whole thing. I actually got a brush. I saw somebody on YouTube use a mini vac. I thought, well, that's next level, picking up droppings of eraser bits. I've got a brush. That's pretty nice. So there she is. I'm gonna go ahead and ink over it now. Let's see what we're doing on time. I can't tell. Oh, 20 minutes. That's not bad. Most of these have been 30 minutes. So I think I'm gonna just stick to that. I know it's a long time to watch a video and ramble on. So while I'm inking, I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about tarot. I think this is the first tarot spread I've done. And I wanted to add another series thinking Tarot Tuesday would be a fun name for it. Just to do a tarot spread, and I might do one later today, just to demonstrate Celtic Cross. It's not something that you see generally in a tarot video, because when you're doing a generic reading, I generally do about 3 to 5 just straight cards across, and that's very good for generic. This is more for a specific question for a specific client. And you know, I was thinking about doing one for a specific question maybe we all have about current events or celebrity, just something like that, just to show how the Celtic Cross works in action. But right now, we're just going to finish. I'm just working on this today because this itself is going to take 30 minutes. So this is a fun drawing exercise. And this is why I'm not going over in ink with a compass. It's because you have to keep breaking up the line. Actually, I'm going to do both sides at the same time. And that's why we took so much time going under, over, so you know where to stop the ink. I'm pretty impressed how it came out. There were several I did yesterday that looked a little wonky, and it's just about keeping that constant radius as you go around. So you want to use a really good compass for this. There's one, I think I've got it. Sorry if I just shook up the camera. This kind, they just are so flimsy. Like, as soon as you start drawing, it changes again. So these are like, there's plastic ones. You get them like at Walmart. You might have one. They just don't tighten up. So it's hard to make sure the radius stays the same the whole time. So they're it's garbage. Just sad, because that's the most common one that you probably bought for your geometry class. I've learned a lot about it later in life. When I took it in high school, I remember doing constructions and being really lost. And I think it just takes a lot of practice to get better at it, and something that we just don't have the time to do in school now. It could be its own course, you know. And I really like it now. I mean, honestly, the Triquinta was my favorite thing I drew for Inktober. It probably got some of the most likes. And I try to draw people. The reason I'm working on drawing people is I want to do a tarot card set. And I got the idea a few years ago. I was like, oh, I'll just draw my own. That's 78 drawings. 72 drawings. Sorry, I'm thinking really hard. When Pamela Smith did them way back in the day, we're talking like probably over 100 years ago, the Rider-Waite Smith deck, she was commissioned artist, and she did them all in 80 days. And I'm thinking that's just the inking. The original deck is just black and white, and that's why you'll see different decks have a different color theme. I mean, the color choices are kind of obvious, like what you should do, and maybe they've been defined, like, because some cards have a yellow sky, some cards have a blue sky, the cloud formation, all of those things, just in the sky alone, the symbology is very important for each card. And they can sometimes help you read because you'll see the sky matching in some cards, so that might be an important thing to hone in on. Oh dear, I can already see a mistake I've made, but you know what? I found my whiteout. And see how I went over on both of these, and only this one's supposed to be over. So I'm so excited I found this. I was actually doing a lot of, let's practice using it over here. Please don't be out. I mean, it's been sitting around for years, so. Oh my goodness. This way? Yes. But now it's loose. How do you tighten this back up? Oh dear. Oh dear. No. Maybe I'll use white ink instead or buy some other white out. I used to really like this one, but I think it's just gotten a little bit old. It's been a while since I used it. White ink might be the way to go. I think I need to buy some more anyway. So, hey, I'm glad you get to see me make a mistake. You might be sitting there going, ugh. But I'm okay with not being perfect. It's hard for me to do, but I'm a Virgo. But I've gone to the point where there's certain things I can control, and I mean this should be something I can control because I'm doing it, but I mean I'm not going to do everything perfect. I tried very hard. I must admit I'm a little distracted by talking, so maybe you remember what point of the video I made that mistake and I was really into what I was saying at the time. So there we are. I'm going to let the ink dry a little bit. Maybe I'll start making, I'm not even going to pencil in. I don't want to trace over my words. I'm going to go ahead and make my numbers here while I let that ink dry. Because the next step is to erase all that pencil mark. Yay. I find that step super satisfying. Because then the drawing really pops and you see what you're left with. Sometimes it's disappointing because you had pencil marks that were adding some kind of dimension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I might have started too early up there. Oh well, it's what it is. These correspond. I'm going to put the meaning of each position. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to go start over here. And I'm just going to freehand these, kind of like I did up there. I did all the heavy, hard lifting, the measuring off camera. I'm trying to show that the 1 is underneath the 2, and you draw them in the same order. So it's 1 and then cross over 2, and then you go in the circle 3, 4, 5, 6. I've seen people start on this card, but I want it to be consistent with what I do. And I've seen different definitions for this same spread. Okay, I'm going to share what I do. And I sometimes forget what I'm doing on the staff, and I think it's okay because each time you read, you're going to see a different way these cards connect. I would look at this as more like a guideline, and sometimes cards that are near each other give you meaning. Like I recently did a reading where these two felt like they were connected, so I read them that way. And it's just a matter of using your intuition. The best thing I ever read about tarot cards is they're like Dumbo's feather. Did Dumbo really need that black feather in order to fly? No. It gave him the confidence that he could do it. And that's what tarot cards do. They give you something to focus on, something to start with, but it's you doing it. It's not the cards telling the future. It's you. It's you tuning in. It's just a tool for you to tune in. And there's some people who approach, they don't even tell you what the cards are. They just tell you the message, because that's what you really want to know. You don't want to know that you got the 10 of Swords. What does it mean? Some people really talk about it, because other people are interested, but most people don't know the meanings of each card. Been debating. I think I'm going to do a cross, like a dotted line. This is an optional 11th card. And I use it sometimes because maybe you need just a little bit more clarification. So I'll put a card up here on top of the 10, and you could even do a 12 card. Because they might say, well, what about this and that? And it kind of still relates to the same question. So you just keep adding one more card. And maybe I'll do a... So I think I'm just going to put a really light little watercolor on each of these to kind of color code the whole thing. I was going to put a little, kind of like a call out, yeah, of the extra card. So let's go back here and erase. I'm probably gonna mess up that whole thing. I'm just gonna use this eraser. All the guidelines can go away. I'm gonna keep these because that's for the script. I'll probably add off camera. Because really the star is the Celtic knot. And we're going to do the last step, which is shading. But this is usually how I do inking. Is you really should spend most of the time on the sketch, or at least the most effort. It's kind of that 80-20 rule, which I don't know, most artists don't understand the 80-20 rule. It's more of a statistics thing, but almost everything in life is the 20% and the 80%. And it's kind of your time. But sometimes it's that 20% that has the 80% impact. So you might spend only 20% of your time on the sketch, but that's how important it is, because you could spend majority of your time adding detail to your drawing, you know, which includes the inking, the shading, the coloring, the refining, right? But if your sketch was not as detailed or proportioned, that is going to translate to the entire drawing, right? If somebody's head is too big or hands look weird, everything you put on top, it's just, they're still weird hands. They're never going to look right. Yeah, I pressed really hard on those crosshairs, so it's a little lesson for you there. And definitely, I probably should have said at the beginning, watch the whole way through before you try. But this is the fun part. I'm going to add shading to each under and over, and that's going to make it really pop out. I got very dark in the shading on my old one. I'm going to show you again. Just I got off the page. I added a three-dimensional element on one side. I added a little bit of darkness on the left side, and that made it pop out even more. I've been on the fence whether I want to do it on this one. I think I'm just going to not. It'll probably help more on this one when I add the shading to define that this is under. But I added a lot of ink on the other one, but I kind of like how it came out. It came out kind of like dark and spooky, which is perfect for Inktober, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's still August, but I'm like, yes, Inktober is coming. Right now it's Smogust. I've only drawn one dragon. I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, a lot of these art challenges, they only get halfway through. Same with Inktober last year. I just really hated my last drawing. I think I ended up deleting it on Instagram, because you have that option in Instagram. It's still in my sketchbook. I mean, I could just tear out the page and burn it. I just hated it so much that I didn't draw anymore after that one. I quit. It means a lot for me to see something all the way through. It's something that I don't do a lot. I feel like I'm such a quitter. But honestly, who sticks with something forever? I mean, some people do, and that's really high dedication. You could also call it discipline. I was reading something about discipline last night, and it's a form of self-love, which I found interesting, is that you're holding yourself accountable. You know, not because there's like your boss expects you to be to work, so you go to work. Your mom expects you to get certain grades, so you do them. You know, as you're holding yourself up to someone else's expectations. But discipline is when you're just holding yourself to your own, right? Because usually yourself will say, "That's okay, you can sleep in. You don't have to work out today. You can eat that cookie. You don't need to do your YouTube video." You know, it's like you're giving yourself the excuses not to do. So that's something that really struck me a little bit. So I think doing this series is a form of discipline for me. I'm going to do this every Saturday. I'm starting a new job soon. I've been working nights, and that really threw me off last weekend, and I really don't want to work nights. Well, my new job is at night, but it's working from home, So I'm kind of excited to do that during these uncertain times. I've just been looking for a work from home position, so I finally found something I can do from home. I'm pretty excited to start it. Can't really tell you much details, but I think I'm gonna really like it. But it will be, you know, it's flexible hours. So, but the more hours I work, the more I'll get paid. But I can work as many as I want. I can work 80 hours a week if I want to. So, and I might, I don't know. I do want to leave time for this. I was thinking I might work on film editing next, because as you can probably tell, these videos are completely unedited. I've been trying to teach myself how to use editing software. That's a whole new skill for me. I've never done anything like that in my life. And you could do more or less shading than I'm doing. I went really dark last time, but I just really wanted it to pop out. I think I'm almost done. I think I've just got that one left. And then we'll pull back and look at the whole thing and see what do we think. The shading is what really makes this fun. It really makes everything you just worked on. Oh, I've got one more over there. And then it becomes really obvious where you've missed when you only got a couple left. They just look flat. You know, this is what gives it that three-dimensional quality. It's adding a little bit of shading. And then if you want it even more, like I did on the other one, choose a side, right or left, you know, where's your light coming from, or, you know, decide that, and then put a little bit of extra shading on each side to give it a three-dimensional pop. I think I'm okay with just 2D on this one. But there we go. Celtic knot. And this time I did a cross to mimic the cross in this tarot card reading. So I'm going to go ahead and finish inking this up and maybe adding some watercolor. I'll put the finished product on Instagram. This took 30 minutes just to draw this. I'm really pleased with how it came out. I'm going to go ahead and show you. This is the big one I did last night. I didn't want to, you know, spoilers, you know, show it to you before I did this, but you can see it's so much bigger. And it would take up the whole page. I wouldn't have any room left for the information, you know, because these are informative yet decorative, right? These are all going into my grimoire. I'm not calling it a book of shadows because I'm showing it to you. It's no longer in the shadows. We could call it a book of silver because it's shining out for you to see. If I have any deep dark secrets, they're not going to be on this series. All right, so I'm only going to show you what I want to share and also things I just want to focus on each week. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you'll draw your own